नमस्कार स्टूडेंट्स, आशा करता हूँ कि आप सब सकुशल होंगे, अपने अपने घरों में ठीक होंगे और कोरोना से अपने आप को, अपने परिवार को बचा के रखे होंगे। यूट्यूब वीडियोस के क्रम में, डिपार्टमेंटल यूट्यूब वीडियोस के क्रम में मैंने सोचा कि आपसे अनुच्छेद 29 और अनुच्छेद 30 के विषय में बात करी जाए। अनुच्छेद 29 और अनुच्छेद 30 डील करते हैं एजुकेशनल एंड कल्चरल राइट्स के बारे में। चूँकि एजुकेशनल और कल्चरल राइट्स हैं, इसके लिए इसके साथ इसके द्वारा ये माइनॉरिटी राइट्स को और राइट टू एडमिनिस्टर एंड रन एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन बाय अ माइनॉरिटी इंस्टीट्यूशन को भी प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं। अनुच्छेद 29 और 30 में दिए दिए गए ये अधिकार दो पैरामीटर्स पर हैं। वन इज़ प्रोटेक्शन फॉर द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ माइनॉरिटी विच इज़ अंडर आर्टिकल 29. Another one is right of minority to establish and administer educational institution. मैं आज विशेष रूप से आपसे आर्टिकल 29 के बारे में बात करूँगा कि हाउ आर्टिकल 29 इज़ अ वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट pillar for minority protection in India and how this right has been a signature of unity within diversity in India and how this article has unfolded from 1951 to very recent developments of minority protection in India. So अगर आप संविधान देख रहे होंगे तो आप समझ में आ रहा होगा कि इसका लैंग्वेज बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंगली ड्राफ्टेड है। आर्टिकल 29 का इट सेज, आई रीड इट फॉर यू, एनी सेक्शन ऑफ सिटीजन्स residing in India or any part thereof who have a distinct language, script or culture have a right to conserve it. Article 29 1 says that. Now, please pay attention here. It is not a right available to non-citizens. And secondly, it is not a right available to an individual citizen. Of course, individual can avail it, but it can only avail it because it is a part of that section of citizen, because it is addressing only section of citizens residing in India or any part thereof. So any citizen who is not residing in India shall not have a claim to this right. So it is only about citizens or any section of citizens who are residing in any part of India. Now, another qualification for this right is that they should have a distinct language, distinct script or distinct culture. There comes the area of cultural identity protection in India, and India was the one of the very few constitutions in the world in 1950s has this kind of provision. Nowadays you find this kind of provisions almost everywhere. South African constitution, Vietnamese constitution, Cambodian constitution, even American constitution, and everywhere you find this cultural identity protection. There is also a talk about aboriginals and non-aboriginals debate in America, blacks and whites, this racial discrimination. All these conventions internationally also reflected within the language of Article 29. Now, again I read it. Any section of any citizen residing in any part of India or thereof who have a distinct language, script or culture has a right to conserve the same. And the same means they can conserve their language, they can conserve their script, and they can conserve their culture. Now, it is really important that India is such a linguistically wide state that it is very important to protect and preserve the language of that particular sect. Because if you are not able to protect the language of that particular sect, linguistic identity shall collapse in India. Now, Article 29(2) is also important because it is also about cultural identity and linguistic identity protection. It says that no one shall be denied admission on an institution maintained by state or receiving aid from the state only on the basis of religion, race, caste, language, or any of thereof. It signifies that if there is an institution maintained by state or running on the funds of the state, it shall have an ultimate right any individual shall have an ultimate right to get admission in this institution. Now, this is what a core language of Article 29 is. So there are two parts again. One is regarding protection of distinct culture, script, and language to particular sect of society who are citizen residing in India. Another one is right to avail admission in the institution which is maintained by state or receiving aid from the state. They cannot deny admission only on the basis of religion, race, caste, language, or anything thereof. Now, this is how it has been drafted. Iyengar, Bhimrao Ambedkar, and so many constitutional law thinkers, when they were debating on CAD, they were specifically putting focus on Article 29 because it was the first right to provide and protect minority identity in India and also cultural identity in India, particularly in a multilingual, multicultural, and very diverse new state that was India at that time. How Supreme Court has interpreted it, it's also really important. For example, I'm talking about Article 29.1. Now, with regard to 29.1, there is a case in 1951. I think it is S. Sonwal versus Union of India. Uh, 1951 or 54. I think it is 54. Okay. So in that question, it was raised that a, a group of a state or a cultural identity of the state, do they have a right to protect their cultural identity within that state, that particular province? Court said yes, you have a right to protect your cultural identity within a part of a state. Another important and interesting case came in 1983, that is SP Mittal versus Union of India. It is about the Oroville Society. There was a Oroville Society which was neither linguistic society nor a religious society. So court said that's because you are a society, you do not have a right to get protection under 29.1. Reason being that either you have to be a linguistic or a religious minority, or you should have a different language, script, or culture. When the bigger language, script, or culture or identity, you are not obliged to attend the benefits of this part because you are not coming under the criteria of linguistic or religious minority. These two cases are really important when you understand the interpretation of Article 29.1. Now, there is also a part of Article 29, that is Article 29 Clause 2. It all started with the case of very famous case law Champakam Dorai Rajan, State of Madras versus Champakam Dorai Rajan, 1951, one of the very primary case law in India, and said that court said that on the basis of caste you cannot deny anybody an admission into this institution as it is promised under the Constitution of India. Then also there was a very interesting case, particularly for Hindi medium students. For example, in the case of State of Bombay versus Bombay Education Society in 1984. Now, Bombay Education Society was not granting admission to the students uh, who are of नॉन इंग्लिश मीडियम्स एंड सेइंग दैट आप नॉन इंग्लिश मीडियम स्टूडेंट तो आपको एडमिशन नहीं देंगे. कोर्ट ने बोला कि आप डिनाई नहीं कर सकते अगर आप फंडेड बाय स्टेट हो या स्टेट एडमिनिस्ट्रेड इंस्टीट्यूशन है. सो कोर्ट सेड दैट यू कैन नॉट डिनाई इफ़ यू आर टेकिंग एड, if you are taking governmental help in your institution, you cannot deny admission just because they are non English medium student to an institution which is getting funding from state. Then there are two case laws that you will find also relevant when I'll discuss with you Article 30. One is St. Stephen's College versus Delhi University, I think 1992 judgment, and court said that minority institution are also coming under this criteria, but in TMA 5 Foundation versus State of Karnataka and another case Islamic Academy of Education versus State of Karnataka AIR 2002 and 2003 respectively. Court said that if you are not receiving aid, or if you are not an institution which is run by the state, that kind of educational institution, you can keep an exclusive category for admission for your own community, because it is also, as I said, educational and cultural rights. Article 29 is just one part. Another part is the right of minority to establish and administer educational institution. So these two rights are complementary, are dependent upon each other, are reciprocal in their parameters, and that's how they run the philosophy of educational and cultural rights under the Constitution of India. Thank you so much. In the next Zoom class I'll take with you guys, I'll discuss in detail Article 30, which is about right of minority to administer and establish educational institution. Why I have picked up Article 29 for YouTube? Because I think monologue is sufficient with regard to 29, and I think dialogue is necessary for Article 30. That's why I'll be taking Article 30 in the Zoom class. So please go through this talk on 29, Article 29, and so that we can move ahead on Article 30 in our Zoom class. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay indoors.